We also have Seal and the Pet Shop Boys.
Welcome back. Dust Gamers, watch in game.
I don't know if I can game now.
We did 3 episodes, 3 important episodes of Steven Universe, because you really cannot wrap your head around that show with one episode. You need to So, here's the thing. The only episode of Steven Universe I've ever watched is Alone Together, which is that crazy last episode we watched. Which I think a lot of... I can't say, I don't know. There's a lot of people know a lot more about Steven Universe than I do.
I watched 3 episodes and I have no idea what's going on.
The thing about Steve... Well, first off, Alone Together is a terrible, crazy first episode to ever watch of Steven Universe.
Hey, there's the...
Right. Because it...
Alright, X time.
Because it leaves you questioning...
Oh, Steven Universe...
Huh?
He breaks shields.
Oh, yeah. The thing about Steven Universe is right now it is the flagship Cartoon Network show.
Is it really?
It is. For a while there, Adventure Time's still pretty much a big one. But when it comes to their levels of fandom, Steven Universe is like the biggest thing right now.
Wow, that's really surprising because that show is rough.
Yeah, it's crazy progressive. It's progressive as fuck.
I wouldn't even just call it progressive.
It's created by a female. It's a show about a boy that's on almost entirely the rest of the cast is females. It's when it comes to breaking down barriers, it's a huge show, and it does that while also being the most popular show on the network, which is pretty crazy.
I hate saying anything that breaks barriers is kind of a bad thing, but it had this just forced upon you feel. I don't know how to explain it. Okay, so, man, a lot of people agree with what I'm about to say, but I severely disagree with feminism because I view any radical thinking as a bad thing. If anything, that's cool.
Was that Uncle Grandpa?
Yeah. Anytime you have a severe radical way of thinking, basically you kind of are alienating.
I don't think it's the radical thinking you're worried about. It's the extremes of it.
Right.
Because radical thinking is just thinking outside the box.
Right. The extremes that
and being not homophobic used to be radical thinking.
Right.
I understand where that idea comes from, but
and I have a lot of females that agree with what I said.
Is sometimes when you get, in order to get things that should be normal and accepted to the point where they're that way, you have the more extremists kind of lead the way.
Yeah,
because they're the ones that deal with the problems that being closed-minded kind of they're the ones who have to deal with the closed-minded in the first place.
Right, but see, my problem is just
stuff they're kind of like the minority for so long. They're the out there people that they get to that point where they're the more extreme, right? Because they push the extreme because the people push the extreme because they're trying to bring the other ideas back towards center.
Right.
If you know what I mean.
But the problem is it always...
But that's why feminism can get so extreme. And, I understand being annoyed with it. But there's a point where feminism wasn't extreme at all. It was trying to correct the overcorrection of a male-dominated society.
Right, and I get that.
But that, I
don't know how to...
in order to explain that in terms of the cartoon we just watched... That cartoon being the way it is with so many female characters is pushing back towards middle. because all the other shows are so boy-centric.
Well, see, and it's not even just that.
That's why it seems so odd. That's why it seems so progressive and crazy. It's because...
Well, I mean...
Because it kind of is spawn... It's a spawn of Adventure Time, which is another show, which it's two boys, kind of like the main characters, but he's surrounded. He's in a world full of females. Princesses everywhere. And Adventure Time is sort of a precursor to that. But it had a lot of female writers, a lot of females that are a part of the creative design of the show. And it's actually where Steven Universe kind of come from. It's the main creator came from Adventure Time. She wasn't the main creator of Adventure Time.
I thought I was Uncle Grandpa. I was confused.
Right.
Some of the things, though, just felt very kind of really forced into a kids show where they really kind of didn't belong.
I purposely put us on the track of some of the crazier episodes.
Right, but I'm saying...
Like, I mean, it's kind of hard to explain. There's going to be an ebb and flow to it.
Right.
When we basically just watched the extreme peaks. I mean, you literally just saw, like, the outlandish episodes, the most progressive episode with the androgyny and everything in it, because that's the one I accidentally watched first, and I was like, is that just what the show's like? You know, some episodes are going to be more normal. There's episodes like one of the other great episodes that we didn't watch is more about them being in the real world, and it doesn't deal with that type of stuff at all.
Yeah. We play the same level again on accident.
I think it does that though. We
played it on accident.
Oh, I'm gonna get something to drink. But so as extreme as that show might seem, we watched the extremes. I mean, think of how crazy South Park would be if you only watched the craziest fucking episode.
Yeah, I mean, I see that, but South Park's not a kids show.
Right.
I mean, they weren't lightly hitting mature topics. There was almost...
Well, here's the other thing about that, though, is that some of it was very wink, wink, nod, nod. Like, to us, it seemed like really adult and kind of like... But I don't think if you're young enough, you don't... It doesn't register to you.
I guess so.
Like, it just seemed like the more like...
makes sense.
Like, kind of lovey-dovey type stuff just seems like, you know, dancing and stuff. Whereas we see it as something more subversive.
Yeah.
Because we're adults and we see it. Like, we're not learning it from the show. We've just seen it because we know kind of where it is.
We understand sexual tension.
Right.
Because...
Like, the main point of that, I mean, the main thing of that show was, like, it's weird that the two genders kind of combine together, the fusion between the two friends. And then they kind of found a loneliness, which was another incredibly smart thing. Because they were no longer, you know, two people hanging out and being friends. They were one person, which is weird. That's an incredibly complex thing to think about.
That's complex to think about right now.
And then they added the creepy guy, like the kind of like no means no moment, which honestly didn't need to be in the episode, but they just tackled it. At the end of the episode, where they go to a rave and the guy hits on her and she doesn't feel comfortable about it, or he, whatever, doesn't feel comfortable about it.
50.
Which, you know, like, those are all incredibly, like, interesting, complex things to deal with.
I think part of it too is it almost, a lot of it also feels forced. Like, it doesn't feel like it has a natural flow. Like they just shoehorn it in.
I don't know. I thought it was all okay.
I'm also going through a lot right now too, so that was a weird show to watch with some of the stuff.
I honestly, the episode with the tears was pretty great to me. I liked the way the story was told with him doing basically a flashback.
Yeah, that was really smart.
Where he was sitting with his friend Connie and telling the story, and then the fountain at the end was pretty great. The kind of like surprise ending, the way they handled it, like where he's upset because he's like, and they did a false narrative too, which I thought was cool, where like he's telling the story, but he doesn't tell what actually happens. He kind of tells how he feels about what happens, which I thought was smart.
I mean, the shows. I mean,
because I love false narratives. I like anytime you have a unreliable narrator. Like, to me, I love unreliable narrator stories where the narrator's telling the story and then, like, it's like, well, that didn't really happen. That's just what the narrator just told you. I love that moment where you're like, oh. And that's what they did with that episode where he's, I forgot the name of that episode already.
I don't remember.
It's, oh man, because we watched 3 episodes. Alone Together was the crazy one. That's the only episode I ever seen of Steven Universe.
The large woman one was
Large Woman Explains
and that's
Fusion.
the actual name of the
it's called
episode.
Large Woman. Large Woman Explains Fusions. The reason we watched it is because I kind of went online to try to figure out what episodes to watch, and that one explains fusion, which is kind of important to understand the Alone Together episode. And then the other one we watched was about her gym getting cracked. And his mother basically used to be their healer for the fantasy universe. It's another reason why the show has like a huge following and everything, is it's supposed to be like have a kind of like Adventure Time. It's got a large crafted universe to dig into. Like, so, like, you know, Adventure Time did the same type of thing where like they keep exploring the world they're in.
Yeah, I mean,
and
the more
reading the story of Steven Universe, because I was reading the wiki trying to figure out what was going on, is it has the same type of thing. Like, it's got a huge, incredible backstory that they've written. It's supposed to be like they were dealing with the thing like a reverse escapism, where it's these fantastic characters who want to be in a normal world. Like the gyms are like, you know, like the Opal and everything are all gyms. They're part of the fantasy world. And then there's the real world that they want to be a part of, which is like the other character where that one girl comes from.
Yeah.
We didn't watch any episodes that really dealt with the real world that much.
They go into the real world whenever they're
they go to the rave.
But
yeah. The rave was in the real world.
The donut shop was too.
Yeah. I thought it was
That's
cool.
a terrible business plan.
I thought, well, see, that was another one of those weird progressive moments, because they're like a weird boy-girl mixed character, and then like all the girls and all the guys both think they're like amazing looking, which is weird. Like, kind of dealing with almost the transgender idea, like right off the bat. That was a weird episode to be my first episode, I swear. I thought that whole show was like that. Like, honestly, like, because that's the only episode I ever watched. I thought the whole show was like that.
Facing the wrong direction. I can't get that.
I was like, man, that's a weird gender show. Like, I thought that was the whole cartoon, man. That's a weird way to start a fucking show for a person.
Yeah, I mean,
because it has all like the dancing and stuff. It was really weird.
It's a super smart show. I mean,
flagship fucking. Apparently, that's the biggest show on Cartoon Network right now. But I mean, in a world where like My Little Pony is like the biggest thing in the world, I could see that.
What is My Little Pony on? I've actually never seen it on TV. Is it
idea.
a TV show?
Friendship is Magic. It's I don't know what it's on. I don't know.
We're gonna have to Google that.
Yeah, I don't know what it's on. It's not a Cartoon Network show. Maybe it is, but I don't think it's made by Cartoon Network. I think it's Disney, but I don't fucking know.
It's definitely not on Disney.
I don't know. So that was Steven Universe.
Yeah.
A lot of what else do we have to watch? We have to watch Adventure Time. That'll be the next episode. And hopefully we'll fucking get the goddamn Rigby and Mordecai on this fucking game. Jesus.
We got been bad at replaying levels though on accident.
Yeah, well, yeah, whatever. I want Rigby and Mordecai. Give it to me. Give it to me. We'll have to go back and talk about that damn episode when we actually get Rigby and Mordecai. On the next episode.